the first person we have to talk about is Marty St. Louis. His first full season as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. And I think he did a phenomenal job considering the massive injury hands he was dealt with, and he had to go scroll through the lineup God knows how many times this fucking season. Uh, he's building the culture that Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon want. They picked him for that reason, and we'll get into the Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes conference later, but it's twice now. Kent Hughes says, he goes, before he hired Marty St. Louis, he asked Vincent Lecavalier's opinion or advice or suggestion about Marty St. Louis, and Vinny said, it may sound biased, probably because they were teammates, but he goes, when you draft a player based on their potential, well, Marty St. Louis has the potential to be one of the best new coaches in the NHL. And I think he proved it this season.
He proved that not
Can't
even the
be
full.
so.
Sorry,
No, but I'm saying that phrase is exactly what it is. That embodies exactly what Marty St. Louis is to the Montreal Canadiens. They hired him. Look, he had zero experience. He still does, in my opinion, and yet he's able to win more games than these coaches who have been coaching all their lives. You know what I'm saying? Starting off is what I'm saying, right? So, yeah, they drafted him like they drafted him. They hired him like the draft in a sense, right? So, like, he's actually growing with these players that he's coaching that were young. So this is going to be an insane next 5 years. He's going to be exactly, and he doesn't have
look
the best
what he
players
proved
yet.
in 1 year with a bunch of injuries. Imagine what a better experienced team and more years under his belt. This goes back to the first game he coached last season. I know, Sam, you started off by starting the segment the first full season as a head coach. I'm bringing it back to the ending of last season. He came in and already brought in the winning mentality from day one. Like, he was giving Joey heart attacks because we were in last place last year and we were winning games towards the end of the season when we didn't need to win those games. And I mean, thank God we won the draft, but just to say he was winning games when we didn't have to back then.
Yeah.
I mean, the only negative thing I have to say about Marty is those extra 5 wins this season. That's it. That's it.
That's enough to
Joey, I'm on your side today.
Joey's fucking blow a gasket.
He's certainly impressed. I still want to see how he will do in more pressure type games, like to make playoffs, to win against good teams. That's all something to be told in the future. But what he was dealt with, he did an amazing job. Like, it's not easy to come in that situation starting from last year and then going into this year. We were almost a Laval Rockets at one point. So what he did for now, good job. I want to see how he would do in more, let's say, tight games. I always mention about how I'm worried, how they would be defensively. Again, maybe they obviously don't have the personnel and they do have injuries, and how he would be in pressure situations of making playoffs and, being more competitive. But I can't say anything wrong about him. He's handled everything even off ice. I thought he's handled the media very well. Sam, you brought it up I think it was last episode, the one before, about the press conference he had, or the interview he was doing, where they said, if you don't have any questions about the game, like, I'm done here. He's handled the media very, very well for certain situations. And I think it's a good thing to continue forward with him at least another year or two and see where he can take us.
Well, I think the whole defensive side of his coaching, Joe, that you're concerned of, rightfully so. But I think this year, I wouldn't say he threw that part of the game out the window because it's a development year. But at the same time, too, I think that's going to be more focused on next season, where
it could be.
I think now it's going to be like, okay, like, I have the defensemen, I have the young ones, I know how they could play. Now we're really going to work on a bit of a defensive structure. Whereas I feel like this year was a bit more of a development season, as much as for him as it was for these younger players. You got to throw in Stefan Robida's name in there too. because I think he's got a big part to play, especially on the defense side. And they're both young coaches, like Anthony said. But like, imagine with a couple of seasons under their belt, and with more or less the same young core group, like they're looking to grow together. And there was one thing that Marty said. He at the end of the last game, his post game conference after they lost to Boston, I think he said something along the lines like, "This season we learned how to somewhat play all together." He goes, "Now the next step is learning how to win together." And as soon as he said that, I had like the massive fucking
shiver.
I was hard as a rock. So, but this is, you know what it means. Like we know this about Marty, his philosophy, but yet every time he still amazes us, time after time after time again.
He has like the Kobe Bryant mentality, like the win-win-win.
He has it, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
Some people have it, some people don't. He definitely has it.
That win mentality, that Kobe Bryant, that Michael Jordan.
I want to hear one of the not conversations, but I want to be a fly on the wall in one of his post games with the team. Like how he pumps them up or how he speaks to them. That would be an interesting thing to watch.
I'm truly convinced each and every single one of his players would run through a fucking wall for this guy.
For sure.
They would run through a wall. And at the end of the year, I think Kent had an exit meeting with all the players. And they're not going to reveal what was said, but like, you have to figure more or less along the lines that like, yeah, they love playing for this guy.
Yeah,
they really, really do. And who wouldn't? Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist, Art Ross winner, because he knows how to talk to these kids. He's part of that young generational coach.
So, and I think we're putting him on a high pedestal, and which is a given after what he's proven so far. But I think Joey brings up a very good point. Fuck, man. Why am I agreeing with Joey, man? All jokes aside.
That you wrapped around his finger.
But all jokes aside, Joey's comment before about playing under pressure. See, it's a whole different game mindset for young players, for young coaches, for anybody when you're just playing to have fun. Okay, so this season, because they knew they weren't going anywhere and all these injuries and all these young players just came up to prove themselves, they were just playing to play. Marty even said it. There was no structure at the beginning. There was no game plan. There was no what's that?
There's no system. There was no
system, right?
Yeah,
you guys played just to have fun. And when you go on the ice, I'll give you a perfect example. When me as a young, inexperienced golf player, okay, when I go to play just to have fun without thinking about anything, I always have a better game. The moment I'm playing with people that are better than me, or I'm trying to, have a great score at the end of my 18 holes, I have a lot of pressure. I start screwing up because it's a mind thing. So I feel like, yes, we're putting Marty on a pedestal right now because he's proven us what he's capable of doing. But the real test, like Joey said before, is when the team is under pressure. Those games that we need to win to make the playoffs, or those games to, you know what I mean? So we don't know yet.
But this is doing. But this is where I think when he says now we're gonna have to learn how to win together, I think that's where he's gonna incorporate and learn how to play under that type of pressure.
Yeah. And it's not only Marty, it's also the young players, all these players that have no NHL experience. They came to have fun. I mean, all these players that came towards the end, they knew there was no playoff hope. They were just playing hey, I have a chance in the NHL. Let me prove to the world what I'm capable of doing.
Full advantage, but I think a lot of that's because of Marty.
100%.
Go, Joey.
Yeah, I was gonna say Marty will get. I think he will get eventually his opportunity, because you never know. Some coaches with certain organizations never have the opportunity to be in competitive hockey. What I mean competitive is being in the NHL and actually making playoffs and fighting for the cup and objectives. Where I think Marty will have those opportunities. So we'll see what he can prove, because I don't think Hughes will ever we'll get to Hughes, obviously, and Gordon coming up, but I don't think them two will ever set up Marty to fail, because it does happen. Coaches have come into certain organizations. We have a pool of prospects, and we're gonna build something, and never amounts to anything. Sometimes it's the coach, sometimes it's the players are bust. But I don't think the management will.
Toronto,
Marty.
Edmonton.
Well, I mean, Toronto's at a point. I don't want to get too much into Toronto because Toronto. At that point, they want to win the cup, but I mean, they're coming in first. They're going to compete it for every year. I'm not trying to be on their side of it.
No. I know it's no. But I'm very happy you said that Hughes and Gorton will not put him in a situation to fail. Like we keep saying how like this team is a two-headed monster. Like add in another head there. I know that sounds weird, but it's a three-headed monster like running this team. It's Gorton, Hughes, and Marty. What's the monster in the Godzilla? One of the villains of Godzilla. I don't know why I'm asking you guys. You're not fucking nerds like me. King. Fuck. Am I alone in this? Yeah. The four of you are looking at me like I'm fucking.
When you're talking about three-headed monster, I thought you were talking about the dog in Harry Potter.
King Ghidorah.
Ghidorah. Thank you. Thanks, Ed. Yes, King Ghidorah. Yeah, or AJ, if it's better for you, that three-headed fucking monster in Harry Potter. But yes, Joe, I'm glad you say that. And to me, I see Marty being a same type of coach that like Rob Brindamore is for the Carolina Hurricanes. Like I see that. It's maybe because both of them played in the same era. They both won cups like a year or two apart. Actually, the Marty won 2004, and I think Brindamore won 2006. 2005 was the lockout. Yeah,
was it 6? I thought it was 7.
No, 7 was the Ducks. 7 was the
Ducks.
Yeah,
6. Yeah. I was.
So. Anyways, I mean, if there's another coach out there in the league right now, I could see as a comparable, it is Rob Brindamore. But I think next year, though, Marty is going to push his players even more to start winning now.
He has to. Unless there's a bunch of injuries, he certainly has to. I don't expect Montreal to make playoffs next year. I don't know if we're doing a prediction for next season already, but not yet. I don't expect them to make playoffs, but I might not expect them to be bottom 5. So if you want to see progression, they got to get out of that.
I predict a fight next year
for playoffs. Yeah, you're gonna say that every year.
I'm still saying I'm still on AG's side that if there were no injuries, I think they'd be fighting for a wild card spot, a bit kind of like Ottawa and Buffalo did this year. Yeah. Anyways, but
Joe can't accept it. That's what
I don't think they would have done it. I'm sorry. I don't think they would have fight for it.
There's opinions like you are like an asshole like you. Everybody's got one.